one of those opportunities where, well, I got to talk about a professor, okay, who utilized racist language, in my opinion. I'll put up the pictures full mass here. I'm going to give you the background. A Penn law professor says people of color are jealous of Westerners, despite her growing reputation for sparking racial and racist controversies by suggesting the superiority of the white culture. University of Pennsylvania law professor Amy Wax, on the left, has found an unexpected advocate in Charlie Cheon. On the right, a third-year law student who wrote a letter to the school administrators late last month expressing support for his teacher who faces losing her tenured position due to racist viewpoints that sparked protest on the campus in recent weeks. So Atlanta Black Star notes, it remains uncertain, however, if the student, Cheon, is aware of the controversial statements, including the assertion that the United States would be better off with fewer Asians, end quote. And her remarks that blacks and Asians are resentful of Western people's outsized achievements, end quote. For now, Professor Wax, who has taught at Penn State since 2001, remains on the university's staff despite growing calls for her to resign due to racist comments and writings that have stirred anger among students and a wide range of cultural and social justice advocates during her long tenure. Previously, the National Black Law Students Association, which I'm a member of personally, the National Asian Pacific American Law Student Association, and the North American South Asian Law Students Association released a letter in April 2022 calling for Professor Wax to be ousted from the campus and barred from talking to students after she made openly racist remarks in and outside a lecture hall. Did you hear that? In and outside a lecture hall. At the time, Penn Law School had already faced multiple years of blowback due to the professor's remarks. They've been dealing with her racism. The school also disciplined Professor Wax, but has also taken more than 20 months to review a litany of claims against this one professor while she continues her offensive rants inside of the classroom. Previously, a group of student leaders called for Professor Wax to be suspended until her grade books from the past 21 years could be reviewed, but school officials never responded to the demand. Now, why is that part important? Because they want to see patterns of systemic bias. Because the individual has clearly demonstrated in her commentary and proclamations based upon their opinion that she is in fact biased against people of color. There's more. In the latest episode, the university said it had initiated a legal process to fire Professor Wax. What? For alleged disparaging statements she's made during her time at Penn, which recently prompted the professor to launch a legal defense fund that faces accusations of promoting itself as a tax-deductible charity, potentially violating federal tax laws. Wax's most recent firestorm occurred when she twice invited white supremacists. Remember this fella? Jared Taylor, we had him on the show. He talked about how superior his IQ was. Remember that guy? When I asked him what was his IQ, he said he didn't know. Do you remember that? Your entire platform is about how white people have an IQ higher than anyone else, and you don't know your own IQ. That is called privilege. I mean, damn. So she invited this clown to come speak to the class about conservative legal thought. adding to the broader uproar over her teaching methods and sparking massive campus protests and complaints to academic administrators. All right. Now, despite concerns that Wax is attempting to whitewash America's history of racism, there's one student, Mr. Cheon, who decided, he wasn't on board with the backlash, filed a complaint with Penn administrators. Okay. In late November, Cheon invited his 136,000 member YouTube page to, quote, read my letter to the dean of my law school regarding an incident that happened today with the woke mob. I really cannot stand them, end quote. But here's the thing. She's so racist, there are people who are not part of any progressive movement who are saying she has to go. This is too extreme, okay? There's more. The student says in the letter posted on this channel. Now remember, I would not read this if it had not been for the fact that he decided to make this public. I write to you to express my sincerest displeasure with regards to the way some students are handling the invitation of a guest by Professor Wax. I was quite incensed to see flyers posted all across the school smearing Professor Wax's character. In my opinion, this, along with the fact that some of her students in the conservative legal thoughts class were harassed, booed, and hissed at, shows an effort to intimidate, indicating a lack of respect for civil discourse. I'll put up his picture again. Sir, the man that she invited, if he would have said that Asians are inherently dumb compared to white intellect, would you agree that he should be a fitting member to guest lecture at a major university? Do you know that Professor Wax said that this nation would be better off without blacks and Asians? Paraphrasing, but that was the sentiment. The letter raises specific concerns regarding how some students were reacting to the controversy involving Professor Wax, with the students citing major discord in Wax's classes, including the distribution of racist propaganda and an overall atmosphere of harassment during class time. The student said in the statement, also attempts to outline the troublesome aspects of the Wax situation that was disrupting student life as the fall semester neared the Christmas break. In the letter, the student also expresses concerns about the principles of free speech and complains that conservative students might feel restricted from expressing genuine viewpoints in such a politically charged environment where people wear their emotions on their sleeves. He also calls on college leaders to communicate to protesters that dissenting views are not valid and inherently harmful to violent. He also casts doubt on the self-righteous mindset of some protesters and urges the administration to consider this perspective in their decision to deal with Professor Wax. The letter then makes an awkward attempt to support the protesters' right to free speech and peaceful protest. Quote, to be clear, understand that there are principles of free speech at play here, the student says. Students have the right to protest events which are not to their liking. I am not suggesting that the administration suppress their ability to share their viewpoints, end quote. I would say this in a very simple, direct way. The professor is there to educate. The professor is there to educate everybody. Those biases, those notions that somehow one particular race is inferior to the other, which these statements have been made on record, should have led to the firing of any professor long ago. The fact that the University of Pennsylvania has decided to allow this to go on for so long is the part that's baffling to me. But now that we are aware, we are on top of it. All right, Sharon, thoughts?
Penn's Ivy League, I don't understand what the issue is here. I have a lot of friends who went to Penn. And for Mr. Cheon, I believe is maybe the pronunciation, to say, it seemed like he was saying he feels threatened and harassment and this and that by these other opinions. Really, they're just pointing out the professor is racist or espousing racism. I think is quite rich, okay? We don't want another January 6th type nonsense on our hands here. It seems like people are saying, be gone with you and your nonsense, okay? You said educate. This is about inciting.
Yeah, it really is. And the students, who, by the way, to the students, you all are the lifeblood of any institution.
That's
Don't
right.
let them take that away from you, all right? You are the reason the business known as education continues to move forward. You are the enterprise, not them.